showed you before, when you use these magnets, this is just the way I do it. I was never taught this. It's my own set of rules. I pick it up right off the floor, very low. Keep your feet, your digits away from it. Give it a good kick and jar it. If it doesn't pop off there, it ain't gonna come off. As long as you have the magnet nice and flat, there's no chips under the magnet between that and the surface, it'll pick it up. So I'm gonna keep it there for right now and get the pallet jack out of the way, and I've got some heavy sawhorses I'm gonna bring in here and set this on top of. These are my dad's old stands that he built ages ago, and as you can tell by the looks of them, they stay outside. There we go. And then you can, you want to help get this thing off. There it is. I'm going to use the Wildcat to just kind of clean up the surface using a sanding disc. First look at what the table is going to be kindly looking like. We've got two legs there, position, and what I've decided to do is do a 3-inch from the edge on the corners there, 3-inch in each side, and that's really working out in my favor because what I'm going to do is I've got some more tubing ordered. I'm going to use some 2-inch square tubing and frame in the bottom of it, the bottom of the legs, and the reason why I'm doing it down here, I'll have it spaced accordingly, is I want to be able to get my the pallet jack underneath this thing and be able to pick it up at any time I want. So we're going to have tubing welded in here, and this is also going to be a shelf on the bottom side of it. We can put other things down there. And fortunately, so the two boards that I had laid in here are 2x12s, and they measure 11 inches wide. So I can utilize those two 2x10s that I had in here in between, or sitting on top of the shelf that's going to be in here. It'll be 22 inches wide there, so that's working out really well. All right, I'm gonna get the welder over here. I'm probably going to use the Millermatic 251 dual shield to weld these legs in. Also want to bring my fume extractor in here and get it going so that we can kind of keep the shop smoke free. I'm ready to start getting this thing welded in. I'll show you a little bit of my process. I've got the fume extractor going, try to keep the fumes out, and I want to show you something else. This is some stuff I got from Loctite, SF 7900. It's ceramic shield for your MIG guns. Spray it all over your cup inside there, and it helps to keep the spatter from sticking to your cup in there and your contact tip. Seems to work pretty good. know if I mentioned I'm running that dual shield. It's a flux core wire. Well, it's just like a 7018. You don't have to worry about that mill scale on there. It'll just burn right through it and penetrate just like it's supposed to. Lay it in there nice. There you go. We'll hit it with a stringer bead brush on the grinder once we're done. Clean them all up nice and pretty. All right, we're just getting the center location laid out. I'm making sure that I'm in the center. So 46 to that line. The table's 8 foot long. All right, 46 to that line, and then we're 3 inches off of the end right there. So this is welded 5 out of the 6 legs, and I showed you when we started I put the ceramic coat on there, and what this allows, you got the buildup there around the inside of the cup. It just pops right off there, very easy. So it keeps it from sticking real hard. Allows it to come right on off there. So I've got the 6 leg there tacked in. I did that with the MIG welder while it was set up, and we're going to use the Everlast Power Tick 200 to run some 7018 for the stringer passes. I'm using a 5/32 7018. So we've got the machine set at 160 amp, and we're going to burn them in, see how it does. Bed. See if we can keep it going. Come on, baby. like that one right there. You turn it on and it kind of fans out some. Okay, this stage is done. We got it all cleaned up and ready to go. I'm going to start laying out the lines for the tubing that I got to get for it. Hopefully I'm going to have that tomorrow. I ordered that today, and hopefully I can get my hands on it tomorrow, and then I'll get that welded on and finished up. So it's turning out good, just the way that I want. Nice clean piece of steel. And we've got all the welds wire brushed. You can rub your hand across it and you don't feel any spatter, any BB stuck to it. There was a couple of heavy ones, and I use a chisel and a hammer like that one right there and knock it off. Now there you can see a difference between the flux core weld after it's wire brushed and then the 7018. The 7018 rod always shines up real nice with a wire wheel. So that's it for now. We're going to bring it back. Hopefully tomorrow we'll get some more welding done on this thing. Picked up the new tubing today. Got this from a buddy's welding shop, and I'm just getting set up there. We're going to be getting all the pieces cut in for all of the framing at the lower end of the work table. 38 3/4. So I'm measuring each one of these individually and cutting them to fit, and I just use my magnets there to create a straight plane to be able to measure on because of the corner radiuses here. I'm going to try out this new grinder that I just recently got. I've been wanting one of these for a while because of their portability and the 60 volt flex volt system, be able to adapt this to some other power tools around here when I need it. But I just pulled it out of the box and put the battery on it, and I'm surprised at how well balanced it is. You can see it's just bouncing there on my hand. So they do have it pretty well balanced, so you can one-hand it. That's the thing. I wanted to be able to stand here and address that. But you know, this may not be a replacement for quartered grinders at all, but like I said, I've been wanting to try it. You can take this thing outside in the yard if you need to, or out in the driveway. You ain't got to worry about running extension cords. Got a built-in brake, and then I put on one of the new Osborne flap disc Z40. Use that to clean these tubes up. I'm trying to get my height set where I want these tubes to be welded in, and I have to make sure that I give myself enough room once these pads are on here, when it's sitting down, that my pallet jack will come in here and pick it up. So I've kind of landed on a target right there, and from the tabletop to where the bottom of the tube is going to be 31 inches. It'll actually give me 29 inches between the shelf and the tabletop there, minus whatever thickness of the board is. So we're going to make a mark at 31 inches along the tubes, and this is where this guy right here comes in, that new LA square that I picked up from Epstein Hardware. See how wide it is? So this will allow you to get in there on these tubes like this with these large radiuses, I've got a mark there, and I can still get in here and completely square it up on this flat, and then my rule is on that side, and be able to make my line right there. That's cool. So this will be the bottom of the tube. I got a scale up here on the top, and if I scale that down right there, this gives me 5.5 inches, so it should give me 2 inches of lift on the pallet jack. I'm utilizing the tabs on this mini square, so it's got the square squared up with the tube right there. Just like that. I'm going to use the Miller again for all these tubes, the dual shield. I've got it set close to what it recommends for 3/16, so we'll see how we go. I'll get the flat spots welded in, upper and lower, and then I'm going to have to work on the vertical uphill. That usually gives me a little bit of a challenge of getting a nice bead going that way. That's a little better. Get it all tacked in first. That sounds better. Forgot the fume extractor. That first vertical weld on the other side turned out beautifully. Let's see if I can keep it up. In there and show you that one. Always try to weld uphill if you're in a vertical position. Got a little bit of the worm traction there, but you see the bead float in there nice with that flux core. So for the side pieces, I took the monster squares and just clamped them to the bottom of these other cross tubes, and it puts them on the exact same plane right there. I actually decided I need to make these pieces here 22 inches outside to outside, because that's what the 2x12s, once both of them are laying in here, I'd like to have them even. So the outside to the large posts are 24 inches, so that means just 1 inch from this face inward. I'm just using a combination square and just setting it in 1 inch. we're getting pretty close. I'm adding in these cross braces here. There'll be one down here in the middle too. I just figured go ahead and give it a lot of rigidity and help anything that's kind of sitting in here later on. So using the fireball squares again to hold it level with the bottom there and clamp it in. I squared it up 90 degrees here with a combination square and then clamped it. So we'll get this one welded in and move down there and just do it one more time, and then most of the welding should be done by that point. All right, well, we got it all welded up. Last thing I got to do is clean it. We're going to wire brush it, and then after that, we got some of that CRC rust converter that I'm going to brush on it. But we're going to go ahead and try out the DeWalt cordless again, and I use this to dress all the ends of the tube there. Still showing it's got a full battery. I got the brush on it, so that might make it a little easier than chasing the cord around. Okay guys, we got her finished up. All the welding's done, we got it ground, cleaned off, so it's ready for a nice coating. So a few of my vertical welds didn't turn out as pretty as I was wanting to, but they still welded in pretty good. Like that one right there, that one right there. I wasn't very comfortable. If I can get comfortable, I can make a pretty decent vertical weld with that. That one over there, I didn't like that either. But I'm not gonna cry about that. I'm not out to make weld pouring quality welds. I just do regular welds. But I think it's all nice and square. And I'm ready to see this thing put to use, man. So I don't want to flip it over yet, because the next phase after this, I'm going to wipe it down real good, make sure it's clean, and then we're going to go in there with that rust converter. I want to see how that does. I think it's going to turn it black, and then you can leave it. It's like a primer, and they said you can leave it like that or you can paint over it, whatever you want to do. So that's this stuff right here. I was watching, I believe his name is Justin from The Good of the Land. He does a lot of tool restorations, and CRC has sponsored him, and they sent him a lot of products to use on his restorations. And I seen him use this on, it was an old Canetti Auto pedestal grinder, and I think he just used this and didn't paint over that, and I thought it looked really good. So I'm just going to try that, and we'll see how it looks. If I don't like the way it looks, then I'll get some paint and just paint it. So I did want to say that I figured out what this thing weighs, and according to my Sable Steel book there, this is 3/4 plate, this is 4x4 by half wall steel, and then this is 2x2 by 3/16 wall. Okay, figured out what the weight per foot for all those is, and it come out to 1,083 pounds, give or take a couple of pounds. That was the book that I used right there, and yeah, so just 1,083 pounds, probably a little bit more because of the weld that I've got on there. I thought it was going to be a little bit more, or a little thicker than this. Let the camera roll so you can kind of see what it's doing there. Okay, we got about halfway down, just giving you a little progress shot there. There's a couple places where it doesn't seem like it's wanting to stick very well, like maybe there's some oil or something still on it, so I may have to do some cleaning. Like that's one spot right there. See, I may have to dress it and then recoat it again. Shouldn't be no issue. They're starting to turn black though. And I had one screw up right there, so I knocked the tray over and most of it spilled out. So what do, you know? I'd recommend if you're doing it like this, just keep a little bit in there so if you knock it over, you don't waste it all. I'm just letting those pads soak that stuff up right there. It is a 1.5 ton chain fall in here, so it'll lift 3,000 pounds. We've had it pretty well loaded up in the past. All right, so that's it. It's all the way up. Getting close. Let it fall on over. It shouldn't flip because of the straps being hooked up. I'm trying to get it up there so that I can inspect it when it's going to happen. There it is. There it is. All right, so we got 6 of these, and 2 of these are a little bit shorter than the other. So the taller ones I'm going to put on the 4 corners, and then these 2 are going to go in the center. Nice. That is the perfect work height right there. I'm going to do some fine tuning off camera, just getting it measured, make sure I get it set where I want to, but I'm liking the looks of it. My granddad's old carpenter level here. Pretty well level that way. Let's see what we're doing side to side. That's not bad. This corner's low just a bit. I'm gonna go check this other end though. That looks pretty level that way. I'd say we're gonna be pretty good for some bench work right there. But it's gonna be good. It's just a workbench. It's just something to work on here, to set things on, jobs and things like that. That's kind of what I needed. I'm running out of my bench space over here, and this is usually where I work. I'm just always finding, like when I had those 2x out here, that it was very convenient to have a table out here in the middle of the shop. So I'm happy that this is done here. Now I need to come in here. I still haven't grounded, so we still got slag here where it was plasma cut, so I'm going to dress that. Dress the top of the table really good, get it nice and clean, and get that done. And then the last phase is to get the two 2x12s notched so that they will fit down in the bottom down there. Nice smooth steel surface there. Love it. Got all of the edges rounded and dressed so that they're not sharp. There's no slag sticking up. And then hit it with the sanding disc there with the Wildcat. Feels nice. I love it. All right, there it is. Got the first one right the first time. Okay. All right. Well, that's going to be a wrap for the work table project. It's all finished and done, and I'm happy with it. Nice and solid, got plenty of rigidity to it. We can easily pick this thing up, move it around however we want to in the future if we need to move it out of the way. But yeah, man, it turned out nice. This is going to be a nice addition to the shop, having a work table here, a proper work table that we can set jobs on. We can set projects on as we're doing it. We can do our, we can sit right here and talk about things going on in the shop, whatever. And I like the shelf on the bottom. You can take my trash can and set it right up in there like that, out of the way, so that's one thing that's out of the floor. So that's going to be a nice right there. So I hope you guys enjoyed the build and following along. I got plenty more in store. I got a lot of projects that I'm wanting to get started on, and we'll be on those real soon. One more thing that I do plan on doing to this table is I want to mount a vise here. So I think what I'm going to mount here is the Wilton Vise here that I got from Michael Brandt up in Chattanooga. I still need to clean it off. I'm just going to wipe it off real good, clean it. But I want to mount that vise right here on the end of the table. Problem is I'm having a tough time putting any holes in this plate. So what I have decided to do, what I'm probably going to do, is mount it like I seen Tom Lipton do this a long time ago on his work table. He actually mounted it like a receiver hitch. So he's got a tube mounted on his table. I think he might have it on the end right here. But I'm going to put a tube here and have the vise mounted on a separate plate and tube that will go in there just like a trailer hitch. Really, I'll have it flush with the top of this plate right here, and I'll have some locking screws on the side so that I can lock it in there and it's nice and rigid. And the other benefit to having that also is that you can take this thing out and turn it 90 degrees, so if you wanted to like stand something up in your vise, something long, you can utilize it that way too. So that's going to be another mod that I'm going to do pretty soon to this table, so that I'll have a nice functioning vise out here on it. So anyway, that's a wrap, guys. We will see you on the next one, okay?